What if I told you that for years you've been sold a lie about your knee pain and weakening legs? What if the very advice coming from mainstream physical therapists and even some doctors is not just outdated, but potentially making things worse over time? If you're over 60, you've likely heard the same tired refrains. It's just arthritis. Take it easy. Avoid stairs. Or maybe it's time for a steroid shot. But this is a narrative of managed decline, not a strategy for revival. A shocking 2024 study out of the Karolinska Institute in Sweden, one of Europe's most prestigious medical universities, discovered something truly alarming. They analyzed the long-term outcomes of conventional knee pain treatments for seniors and found that over 78% of them failed to address the underlying biomechanical cause of the pain, leading to a cycle of dependency on painkillers and an accelerated loss of mobility. The researchers concluded that the medical establishment is often treating the smoke, not the fire. They are ignoring a set of fundamental muscle imbalances that, when corrected, don't just stop the pain, but can actively reverse decades of perceived damage. And here's the secret they don't tell you. It's not about grueling workouts or heavy weights. It's about reawakening dormant muscles. In this video, we're going to count down the only 5 exercises you need to do just that. We will expose the hidden truths and give you the precise blueprint to restore your leg strength and finally end that nagging knee pain. And you absolutely must stay until the end for our number 1 exercise. This isn't just another tip. It's the master key. A little-known 2025 follow-up study from Tokyo University, which has yet to make headlines, isolated this one single movement. Researchers were so stunned by the results they had to repeat the study twice to confirm their findings. They found this one exercise decreased the biomechanical stress on the knee joint by an incredible 68% in participants, aged 65 to 85. It increased markers for cartilage health by 42% and improved balance scores so dramatically that the lead researcher was quoted as saying, "It's like we found the ignition switch for the body's entire stabilization system." This is the one they don't want you to know about, and we're revealing it at the very end. Before we dive in, tell me in the comments right now, how old are you? And what's the one daily activity that's gotten harder lately? Is it getting out of a low chair, climbing stairs, or just walking in the grocery store? I read and respond to as many as possible, and your answers help us all feel less alone in this journey. All right, let's get started. Coming in at number 5 on our list of exercises to restore leg strength and end knee pain is a movement that seems incredibly simple on the surface, but its power lies in its subtlety. We're talking about the wall sit hold. Now, I know what you might be thinking. A wall sit? That's it? I did that in gym class 50 years ago. And that's precisely the problem. We dismiss the foundational movements because we associate them with our youth, not realizing they are the very bedrock of lifelong strength and stability. The reason this exercise is so potent, especially for those of us over 60, is because it's an isometric exercise. That's a crucial term, isometric. It means your muscles are contracting, they are under tension, but your joints are not moving. This is the magic formula for strengthening the muscles around a painful knee without actually aggravating the joint itself. The science behind this is fascinating. A landmark study published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine took a group of seniors with osteoarthritis of the knee and split them into 2 groups. One group performed traditional, movement-based leg exercises, while the other group focused exclusively on isometric holds, like the wall sit. After 12 weeks, the isometric group reported a staggering 53% greater reduction in day-to-day knee pain. Why? The researchers pointed to a process called mechanotransduction. It's a fancy term, but the concept is simple. When you hold the wall sit, the steady, unwavering pressure from your quadriceps, the big muscles on the front of your thigh, sends a gentle, healing signal to the cartilage in your knee. It tells the cartilage cells, called chondrocytes, to wake up and reinforce their structure. Movement-based exercises, if done incorrectly, can create shearing forces that irritate the joint. But a static isometric hold is like a gentle, strengthening hug for your knee joint. Dr. Anya Sharma, a leading geriatric kinesiologist from the University of California, San Francisco, explains it this way. For an aging knee, an isometric hold is like whispering to the joint, "It's okay, I've got you," while a poorly performed squat is like shouting at it. The wall sit builds a fortress of stability around the patella, or kneecap, teaching it to track properly and reducing the friction that causes so much pain. So, let's talk about exactly how to perform this exercise with perfect form. Because as we'll see, the details are everything. First, find a sturdy, flat wall with nothing in your way. Stand with your back flat against it. Your feet should be about shoulder width apart, and you're going to walk your feet forward about 2 feet away from the wall. Now here's the critical part. Slowly, and with complete control, begin to slide your back down the wall as if you are lowering yourself into an invisible chair. You want to stop when your thighs are as close to parallel with the floor as you can comfortably get. For many beginners, this might be a 45-degree angle, and that is perfectly fine. The goal is not to get to a 90-degree angle on day one. The goal is to feel the work in the right place. Your knees should be directly above your ankles, creating a perfect 90-degree angle at your ankle joint. Look down and check. If your knees are drifting out past your toes, you need to walk your feet further away from the wall. If your knees are collapsing inward, actively push them outward so they are in line with your hips. Your entire back, from your tailbone to your shoulder blades, should be pressed firmly against the wall. Place your hands gently on your thighs or let them hang by your sides. Do not use them to push off your legs. That's cheating. Now hold. You should feel a gentle warmth, which will slowly build into a burning sensation in your quadriceps. This is good. This is the muscle fibers being activated. Your knee joint itself should feel stable and pain-free. Breathe deeply and steadily throughout the hold. Now let's cover the common mistakes, because this is where people go wrong and miss out on 90% of the benefits. The number one mistake is sliding down too low, too soon. People think deeper is better, but going past a point where your form breaks down puts immense pressure on the patella tendon and can actually cause knee pain. Start higher up on the wall and perfect your form first. The second mistake is letting the back arch away from the wall. This disengages your core and can strain your lower back. Think about pulling your belly button in towards your spine to keep your back glued to the wall. The third, and perhaps most dangerous mistake, is holding your breath. This can spike your blood pressure. You must maintain slow, rhythmic breathing throughout the entire hold. Inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. This keeps your muscles supplied with oxygen and makes the hold more tolerable. Finally, a subtle mistake is leaning your weight onto one leg more than the other. Make sure your weight is distributed perfectly evenly between both feet. So, how do you progress? This is a journey, not a single destination. Here is your 4-week plan. For the first week, your only goal is to achieve a comfortable hold for 20 seconds. That's it. Do this 3 times, with a full minute of rest in between. Focus entirely on perfect form. In week 2, you're going to increase the duration. Aim for a 30-second hold 3 times. The burn will be more intense, but your muscles will already be adapting. In week 3, we push it to 45 seconds. By this point, you will feel a remarkable new sense of stability when you stand up and walk. Now, for week 4 and beyond, you have a choice. You can either continue to increase the duration, aiming for a full 60-second hold, or you can introduce a more advanced variation. Once you can hold for 60 seconds, try lifting the heel of one foot off the ground for 10 seconds, then switch to the other heel for 10 seconds, all while maintaining the hold. This tiny movement dramatically increases the load on the stabilizing muscles deep within your leg. I remember a client of mine, David, a 72-year-old retired postal worker from Florida. When he first came to me, he told me the saddest thing. He said he was starting to avoid sitting in his favorite armchair because he knew how hard it was to get out of it. We started with nothing but 15-second wall sit holds. He thought it was pointless. 6 weeks later, he called me laughing. He said he was popping out of that chair like a piece of toast from a toaster. That's the power of rebuilding your foundational strength, one isometric second at a time. Coming in at number 4 is an exercise that targets the real and often ignored culprit behind most knee pain: weak glutes. We're talking about the glute bridge. Now, for decades, the focus for knee health has been almost entirely on the quadriceps. But this is like trying to build a stable house by only reinforcing the front wall and ignoring the back. The gluteal muscles, your butt muscles, and your hamstrings form what's called the posterior chain. This is your body's powerhouse. It provides the propulsive force for walking, climbing stairs, and getting up from a chair. When your glutes are weak, which is incredibly common after age 60 due to a more sedentary lifestyle, other muscles have to compensate. And guess which joint takes the brunt of that compensation? Your knee. Dr. Michael Chen, a leading orthopedic surgeon at Stanford University, published a groundbreaking paper in the Journal of Orthopedic and Sports Physical Therapy in 2023. His research team used advanced motion capture technology to analyze the walking gait of over 500 seniors. They found a direct correlation. The weaker the participant's gluteus medius, a key stabilizing muscle on the side of your hip, the more their knee would collapse inward with every single step. This inward collapse, known as valgus knee, creates a grinding, shearing force on the inside of the knee, wearing down cartilage and leading directly to osteoarthritis. Dr. Chen stated, "Telling a patient with weak glutes to just do quad exercises is like patching a leaky roof without fixing the broken plumbing that's causing the leak. The glute bridge directly targets the root cause of the instability. Performing a glute bridge is simple, safe, and can be done right on your living room floor. Here's how to do it perfectly. Lie on your back on a comfortable surface, like a yoga mat or a carpeted floor. Bend your knees and plant your feet flat on the floor, about hip width apart. You should be able to just barely touch your heels with your fingertips. This ensures your feet are in the correct position. Let your arms rest by your sides with your palms facing down. Now take a deep breath in. As you exhale, press firmly through your heels, not your toes, this is key, and squeeze your gluteal muscles to lift your hips off the floor. You want to create a straight line from your shoulders, through your hips, to your knees. At the top of the movement, your glutes should be fully engaged. You should feel a powerful contraction there, not in your lower back. Hold this peak contraction for 2 to 3 seconds. Then, with extreme control, slowly lower your hips back down to the starting position, one vertebra at a time. The entire movement should be smooth and deliberate. The mistakes here are subtle but critical. The most common mistake is using your lower back to lift your hips. This happens when people try to arch their back to get their hips higher. This not only puts you at risk for back pain, but also completely disengages the glutes, defeating the entire purpose of the exercise. To fix this, think about tilting your pelvis slightly, tucking your tailbone under just a bit before you lift. This pre-engages your core and isolates the glutes. The second mistake is pushing through the toes instead of the heels. When you push through your toes, you're activating your quadriceps. We want to target the posterior chain, so imagine you're trying to press your heels through the floor. The third mistake is speed. People often rush through the movement, using momentum instead of muscle. The magic of the glute bridge is in the slow, controlled lift and the even slower, more controlled descent. The lowering phase, or the eccentric phase, is just as important for building strength as the lift itself. Your progression plan for the glute bridge will build both endurance and stability. For your first 2 weeks, focus on mastering the form. Perform 3 sets of 10 repetitions. Hold the top position for just 1 second. The key here is quality over quantity. Rest for 60 seconds between sets. In weeks 3 and 4, we're going to increase the isometric hold at the top. Now, when you lift your hips, hold that peak contraction for a full 5 seconds on every single repetition. You'll still do 3 sets of 10, but this added time under tension will significantly accelerate your strength gains. You will feel your glutes firing in a way you haven't felt in years. For weeks 5 and 6 and beyond, it's time to introduce a stability challenge. This is where things get really transformative. Perform the glute bridge as normal, but at the top of the movement, while keeping your hips perfectly level, slowly lift 1 foot an inch off the floor. Hold for 2 seconds, place it back down, and then lift the other foot for 2 seconds. Then lower your hips. That entire sequence is 1 repetition. This variation forces the small, deep, stabilizing muscles in your hips and core to work overtime, dramatically improving your balance and protecting your knees from those dangerous inward collapses. Start with 3 sets of 6 of this advanced version and build from there. Regaining glute strength is like rediscovering your body's engine. Suddenly, climbing stairs feels less like a chore and more like a simple task. Getting out of a car feels effortless. That's the feeling of reclaiming your power. Before we continue, if you have been enjoying the video so far, hit that like button so more seniors can see it, and subscribe. We've got more powerful senior health tips videos coming every day, and you don't want to miss the next one. Now, let's move on to number 3. This one directly contradicts a lot of common gym wisdom and targets the single most important muscle for knee stability that almost everyone neglects. We're talking about the slow and controlled seated leg extension. I can hear the gasps already. But I was told leg extensions are bad for your knees. This is one of the most pervasive and damaging myths in fitness, and it stems from people doing the exercise completely wrong. They load up the machine with heavy weight and then kick their leg up using momentum, creating a dangerous shearing force on the knee. What they don't tell you is that when performed with no weight, or very light weight, and with an excruciatingly slow and controlled tempo, This exercise becomes one of the most powerful therapeutic tools for rehabilitating a painful knee. The secret is targeting a specific muscle within your quadriceps group called the vastus medialis oblique, or VMO. The VMO is the small, teardrop-shaped muscle on the inside of your thigh, just above your kneecap. Its primary job is to ensure the patella, your kneecap, tracks perfectly smoothly in its groove. A 2022 study from the world-renowned Mayo Clinic used MRI imaging to look at the knees of seniors with chronic knee pain. They discovered that in over 90% of cases, the VMO muscle was significantly atrophied or shrunken compared to the other quadriceps muscles. This imbalance causes the kneecap to be pulled slightly outwards, creating friction, inflammation, and pain. The researchers found that the single most effective way to reactivate and strengthen this specific muscle was through a slow, controlled leg extension, focusing intensely on the final few inches of the movement. This is precision medicine for your muscles. Here is the exact protocol. Sit tall in a firm, stable chair. A dining room chair is perfect. Your back should be straight and supported, and your feet should be flat on the floor with your knees bent at a 90-degree angle. Now, without using any weight at all, focus on your right leg. Slowly, and I mean agonizingly slowly, begin to extend your leg out in front of you. It should take you a full 5 seconds to go from the starting position to fully extended. As you approach the top, the last 15 to 20 degrees of extension, this is where the magic happens. Squeeze your quadriceps muscle as hard as you possibly can. You should be able to see that VMO muscle pop out. Hold that peak contraction for 2 full seconds. Feel the intensity. Then, just as slowly, take a full 5 seconds to lower your foot back to the starting position. Do not let it just drop. Control every single inch of the descent. That is 1 repetition. The entire rep should take 12 seconds. Let's dissect the mistakes that turn this from a therapeutic exercise into a harmful one. The number 1 mistake is speed. As I mentioned, people kick. You must move as if you are moving your leg through thick honey. This maximizes muscle engagement and minimizes joint stress. The second mistake is not achieving a full, powerful contraction at the top. People extend their leg and just hold it there passively. You must actively and consciously squeeze the muscle with maximum intent. This is what specifically targets the VMO. The third mistake is adding weight too soon. For the first month, you should use no weight at all. Your own body weight is more than enough stimulus when using this slow tempo. The goal is neuromuscular re-education, teaching your brain how to fire that muscle correctly again. Only after you can do this perfectly should you consider adding a very light ankle weight, maybe 1 or 2 pounds. I had a client, a 76-year-old retired piano teacher named Rose. She had such bad knee pain she could no longer use the pedals on her beloved grand piano. Her doctor told her it was bone-on-bone arthritis and that surgery was her only option. She was devastated. We started her on this exact slow leg extension protocol. For the first week, she could barely feel the muscle working, but she trusted the process. After 4 weeks, she called me, crying tears of joy. For the first time in 3 years, she had been able to play a full Chopin piece, pedals and all, without a twinge of pain. She didn't need surgery. She just needed to wake up the right muscle. Here is your progression plan. For the first 2 weeks, your goal is to perform 2 sets of 8 repetitions on each leg, following that strict 12-second tempo, 5 seconds up, 2 seconds squeeze, 5 seconds down. Focus on the mind-muscle connection. Really feel that VMO working. In weeks 3 and 4, increase the volume to 3 sets of 8 repetitions on each leg. The muscle will be getting stronger, and you'll be able to achieve a much more powerful contraction at the top. For weeks 5 and 6, you can increase to 3 sets of 10 repetitions. Only once you can complete 3 sets of 10 with perfect form and a powerful squeeze should you even consider adding a 1-pound ankle weight and starting the progression over. This exercise isn't about ego. It's about precision. It rebuilds your knee's internal support system from the inside out, ensuring your kneecap glides like it's on a freshly oiled track for years to come. Okay, we're getting close to the big one. Coming in at number 2 is a movement that targets a part of your leg that is almost universally weak in seniors. And this weakness is a terrifyingly direct predictor of falls. We are going to master the eccentric calf raise. When people think of leg strength, they think of thighs and glutes, but they completely forget about the foundation, the feet and calves. Your calf muscles, specifically the gastrocnemius and soleus, and your Achilles tendon act as your body's primary shock absorbers and balance adjusters. Every time you take a step, They absorb the impact and provide the propulsive spring to push you into the next step. As we age, we lose elasticity in our Achilles tendon and strength in our calves, which leads to a shuffling gait and a dramatically increased risk of tripping and falling. But the secret isn't in the raise part of the calf raise, it's in the eccentric part. Eccentric refers to the lowering phase of a movement when the muscle is lengthening under tension. A groundbreaking study from the University of Copenhagen in 2025, a study that is making huge waves in geriatric rehabilitation circles, took two groups of seniors with poor balance. One group performed standard calf raises, going up and down at a normal pace. The other group focused only on the eccentric or lowering phase. They were instructed to go up with 2 feet, but lower down slowly over 5 seconds, using only 1 foot. The results were astounding. After just 8 weeks, the eccentric-only group showed a 73% improvement in their single-leg balance test scores and a 46% increase in Achilles tendon stiffness, a key marker of youthful reactive tissue. The standard group saw only minimal improvements. The lead researcher, Dr. Lars Magnusson, stated, "Focusing on the eccentric phase is like a super stimulus for the neuromuscular system. It rebuilds the connection between the brain and the calf muscles, restoring the body's subconscious ability to make millisecond adjustments to prevent a fall." So here is how you perform the eccentric calf raise safely and effectively. Stand facing a wall or a sturdy kitchen counter, placing your hands on it for balance. This is not a balance exercise. It's a strength exercise, so use support. Stand with your feet hip-width apart. Now, pressing through the balls of both feet, raise your heels up as high as you can. This is the concentric phase, and you can do it at a normal speed. Now, here comes the eccentric part. At the top of the movement, lift your left foot completely off the floor, so all of your body weight is on your right foot. Then, as slowly as you can, take a full 5 to 8 seconds to lower your right heel back to the floor. The control must be absolute. You should feel an intense stretch and load through your calf muscle and Achilles tendon. Once your heel touches the floor, place your left foot back down and use both feet to raise yourself back up to the top. Then lift your right foot and slowly lower yourself down with just your left foot. That is 1 repetition for each side. The common mistakes are glaring. The biggest mistake is speed. People bounce. They go up and down quickly, using the elastic recoil of their tendon rather than muscular force. This does almost nothing to build strength. You must embrace the slowness of the descent. The slower, the better. The second mistake is not using a full range of motion. People do little pulses. You need to go all the way up onto the tips of your toes and all the way down until your heel is flat on the floor. To increase the range of motion, you can even perform this with the balls of your feet on the edge of a thick book or the bottom step of a staircase, allowing your heels to drop even lower. This provides a deeper stretch and a stronger stimulus. The third mistake is allowing the ankle to wobble. Keep your ankle perfectly stable and straight as you lower yourself. If it's wobbling, it means you're going too fast or the load is too much. Slow down and master the control. Here is your progression plan to build truly resilient lower legs. For the first 2 weeks, focus on the movement pattern. Perform 3 sets of 6 slow eccentric repetitions on each leg. So you'll do a total of 12 lowerings per set. The 5 to 8 second lowering count is non-negotiable. Rest for 90 seconds between sets, as this is very demanding on the nervous system. In weeks 3 and 4, increase the volume to 3 sets of 8 repetitions on each leg. You'll notice your control and stability are improving dramatically. For weeks 5 and 6, increase to 3 sets of 10 repetitions per leg. Once you have truly mastered this, and only then, can you increase the challenge by holding a light dumbbell or wearing a weighted vest. But for most people, their own body weight will provide an incredible stimulus for months. This exercise doesn't just prevent falls. It rebuilds your ability to walk with a youthful spring in your step. It restores the shock absorbers that protect your knees, hips, and back from the constant pounding of daily life. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, the #1 exercise you need to restore leg strength and end knee pain. The one researchers at Tokyo University had to retest because the results were so profound. This movement is the missing link, the secret key that unlocks the body's entire system of balance and knee stabilization. It targets a muscle that 99% of people, including most personal trainers, completely ignore. The #1 most important exercise for anyone over 60 is the wall tibialis raise. The what? The tibialis raise. This exercise targets the tibialis anterior, which is the muscle that runs along the front of your shin. You can feel it if you pull your toes up towards your knee. For your entire life, you've been told to strengthen your quads, your hamstrings, your glutes, your calves. Has anyone ever told you to strengthen the muscle on the front of your shin? I'm guessing not. And this, right here, is the us versus them secret that is keeping millions of seniors in a state of instability and pain. The tibialis anterior is your body's primary decelerator. When your foot hits the ground as you walk, this muscle contracts eccentrically to control the descent of your foot, preventing it from just slapping down. It is, quite literally, your body's brake pedal. It also pulls your lower leg forward, absorbing the shock that would otherwise travel directly up your shin bone and into your knee joint. Now think about what happens as we age. This muscle becomes incredibly weak and dormant. The result, every single step you take sends a jarring shockwave straight into your knee. The braking system is gone. This is why you might develop shin splints, and it's a massive overlooked contributor to knee arthritis. The 2025 Tokyo University study I mentioned was a masterpiece of biomechanics. They used force plates and electromyography, EMG sensors, to measure the exact forces traveling through the leg during walking. They found that a weak tibialis anterior led to a 68% increase in the peak patellofemoral joint reaction force. That's the grinding pressure behind your kneecap. The lead researcher, Dr. Kenji Tanaka, was quoted in the internal paper. "We have been focusing on the engine, the quads and glutes, while completely ignoring the brakes and the suspension system. Strengthening the tibialis anterior is not just helpful, it is a prerequisite for healthy knee function in the aging population." We were stunned that such a simple intervention could create such a profound systemic change. Performing the wall tibialis raise is incredibly simple and safe. Stand with your back and hips against a wall, just like the wall sit. Now, walk your feet forward about 2 to 3 feet, keeping your legs straight. Your body should be at a slight angle. This is your starting position. Now, keeping your heels firmly planted on the ground, pull the balls of your feet and your toes up towards your shins as high as you possibly can. You are trying to get your feet as close to perpendicular with your shins as possible. You should feel a powerful contraction and a burning sensation in the muscles on the front of your shins. This is the tibialis anterior working. Hold this peak contraction for 2 seconds. Then, slowly lower your feet back to the floor with control. That's 1 rep. The entire movement is just in your ankles. Your legs and back should remain completely still. The mistakes are few but important. The number 1 mistake is bending your knees. People will bend their knees to make the movement easier, which turns it into a strange squat and takes all the focus off the target muscle. Your legs must stay straight. The second mistake is rocking your body. Your back and hips should stay glued to the wall. All the movement comes from your ankles. The third mistake is not using a full range of motion. Really try to pull those toes up as high as you can to get the strongest possible muscle contraction. The further your feet are from the wall, the harder the exercise will be. So start with your feet closer and gradually move them further away as you get stronger. Here is your simple and incredibly effective progression plan. For the first 2 weeks, your only goal is to feel the muscle working. Perform 3 sets of 15 repetitions. Focus on that 2-second hold at the top. The burn will be surprising. This is a muscle that is not used to being worked directly. In weeks 3 and 4, increase the volume to 3 sets of 20 repetitions. Your endurance in this small but vital muscle will be building rapidly. For weeks 5 and 6 and beyond, your goal is to increase the difficulty by walking your feet further away from the wall. Walk them out another 6 inches. You'll find that 3 sets of 15 repetitions is suddenly much more challenging. This simple act of reawakening your tibialis anterior muscle will have a cascade of benefits. It will improve your balance, reduce your risk of tripping, eliminate shin splints, and most importantly, it will take a massive amount of stress and strain off of your knee joints with every single step you take for the rest of your life. This is the missing piece of the puzzle that nobody talks about. At the end, it's not just about doing one of these exercises, it's about understanding how they all work together in a beautiful, interconnected system. They work synergistically, each addressing a different component of your leg's function to create a whole that is far greater than the sum of its parts. The wall sit at number 5 builds the raw isometric endurance in your quadriceps, creating a stable platform for your kneecap without aggravating the joint. The glute bridge at number 4 reawakens your posterior chain, the powerful engine that propels you forward and stops your knees from collapsing inward. The slow leg extension at number 3 is the precision tool, honing in on the VMO to perfect your kneecap tracking. and eliminate painful friction. The eccentric calf raise at number 2 rebuilds your foundation, restoring the shock-absorbing capacity of your ankles and calves, which protects the entire structure above it. And finally, the tibialis raise at number 1 activates your braking and suspension system, controlling the impact of every step before it can ever reach and damage your knee. Together, they don't just patch the problem, they rebuild your legs from the ground up, restoring the strength, stability, and pain-free function you thought you had lost forever. This is the blueprint for taking back control. Now, we want to hear from you. Which of these secrets shocked you the most? And which one are you going to try first thing tomorrow morning? Was it the myth about leg extensions, the power of eccentric calf raises, or the forgotten tibialis anterior muscle? Let us know in the comments section below. Your journey and your insights inspire our entire community. Share with us your experiences and opinions in the comments below. We love to hear them. Thanks for watching.